Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. Sometimes, no matter how many people are around us, we feel we're the only person that's living in this world. We feel lonely, we feel left out. Loneliness can be dangerous if we did not know how to handle it. But one thing that we don't realize is the same loneliness that is killing us, the same loneliness that disturbs us, can be changed into a blessing in life. Always remember, every challenge and every difficult situation that comes into your life can be changed into a blessing if you know how to handle it. So from this video, let's talk about how can we deal with the loneliness in life and how can we change this loneliness to a blessing in our life. To deal with loneliness, first of all, we need to understand what is the reason behind the loneliness. Now, so many people think that the loneliness or the suffering that you feel depends on other people, right? Depends on an outer source. When people leave you, when you are separated from your loved ones, you feel lonely. But that is not always the case, because even in the middle of relationships, even when you're being with other people, even when you're being with your family members, you might feel lonely, because the loneliness does not occur because of other people or an outer source. Loneliness occurs when your interactions with other people does not match your desires or does not match your expectations. And that expectation creates the vacuum of that missingness in life, and that creates the suffering. So the Buddha says that the loneliness or this suffering does not depend on an outer source, but also it depends on an inner problem. So the Buddha mentions this in Dhammapada verse 338. The Buddha says, "Just as a tree, though cut down, sprouts up again if its root remain uncut and firm, even so, until the craving that lies dormant is rooted out, suffering springs up again and again." So Buddha refers this to a tree, right? If a person comes to a tree and if he needs to remove the tree, so what he does is he cut down the tree from the trunk, okay? No matter how many times you cut down the tree from the trunk, it will grow back. Because, what is the reason? Because the root system is there still. As long as the root system is rooted on the ground, in the ground, the tree will grow back again and again. So the Buddha says, as long as the reason or the root cause for suffering is there, the suffering will spring up again and again. So what we have done in our whole life is trying to kill loneliness, but not the reason for the loneliness, right? So first of all, we need to understand that keeping your happiness, keeping your total happiness on other people and expecting other people to be around you totally and expecting other people to live up to your expectations is not going to happen all the time. And that creates the suffering and that creates the loneliness. So one thing that we need to understand is that loneliness does not always depend on an outer source. It depends on the cravings and the desires and the expectations that we are holding onto the interactions with other people. Okay, so luckily, because of this, we can change and we can convert this loneliness to a blessing. Okay, so how to do this? First of all, we need to change the perspective that we are holding onto the loneliness. So let me tell you a story about this. In the Buddha's time, before his enlightenment, he was practicing a practice called self-mortification. In this time, there were 5 monks who were helping to the Buddha. Now, these 5 monks had a lot of expectations on the Buddha that one day he will become enlightened and we will be also able to listen to his teachings and be enlightened. So he was practicing that, and they believed that the self-mortification or giving a lot of suffering to the body is the only way to find the liberation. But alas, one day, the Buddha gave up this practice of self-mortification after practicing it for a long time. But the Buddha gave up this practice by understanding that this is no longer going to help him. And now all the expectations were destroyed. And these 5 monks were disappointed about the Buddha. So what they did, they left the Buddha and they went to Varanasi. And what happens to the Buddha was all alone in the middle of the jungle. He was abandoned. But here's the thing, he was not lonely. He was alone, but he was not lonely. Why? Because that loneliness, that silence, and that not being with around other people gave him the time to focus more into himself, right? So one thing that we need to understand is that when we feel lonely, it is an opportunity for us to focus on ourselves, right? It is a better time for you to focus on other people, because most of the time when we are too much around other people, we don't get much time to be with ourselves, be in our own company. So one thing that we need to understand is that loneliness creates the time and opportunity for you to focus more on yourself. Okay, so if you hold on to that view and think that, oh, now I am lonely and then now I am alone, but now this is the chance for me to focus on my inner values, so that you can build up your inner values, and you can care more about yourself, and you can focus on your what mistakes that do I have inside my life, what should I do and what should I practice. The more you focus onto yourself, you can develop and you get the chance to develop your inner habits and good values into you, so that it creates a better personality inside you. So understand that the loneliness or not being around other people is not always a suffering. It is an opportunity for all of you to build up a better life. So what you have to do, get this time and take this time and take this opportunity for you to be more focused into yourself and to practice this self-love, self-compassion, and also to build up good habits in your life. If you understand this way of dealing with loneliness, the loneliness will become a blessing to your life. And one day you will thank for that loneliness because it created who you are today. So understand that loneliness does not always depend on other people. It always depends on what view you're holding onto this experience in life. So be more focused onto yourself, into yourself, and create a better life for you. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to face criticism. Now criticism is something that we all have to face in all of our lives. But many of us don't know how to face it successfully. But our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us how to face these circumstances successfully. So today we are going to learn that. First of all, remember, criticism, bullies, adversities, these are common experiences for all the humans, right? Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us, Natti loke anindito. There's no one that has not been criticized by people. Remember, whatever you do, whatever you say, people always criticize you. Because people always see you what they want to see, not the exact you. So, criticism and bullies are common experiences. But when we are going through such experiences, we feel sad. That is called the mental sorrow, mental sadness. Due to this mental sadness, we fail and we fall down either physically also. So, what we should practice and what we should do when someone criticizes us, when someone blames us. There's a discourse that was given by our great Arahant Sariputta. And in that discourse, it says, when someone complains you, when someone bullies you, or when someone blames you, you need to have two things in your heart or in your mind to face it successfully. So what are these two things? Number one, Arahant Sariputta said, you should be truthful. So what is truthfulness? Truthfulness is when someone complains you, or when someone complains you about a mistake that has done by yourself, then you have to be truthful. You have to accept your mistake because you have done it, right? If someone asks you that, have you done this mistake? Then if you have done it, really, you have to say yes. But most of the time, when we do mistakes, we try to hide them, right? We try to hide them by telling lies. Remember, when you tell lies, you have to remember everything, every lie that you have said, because you need to protect that lie. But if you said the truth, if you admit your fault, then you don't want to remember anything, right? Remember, mistakes can happen from anyone. We are not perfect creatures, right? We all have defilements, we all have problems, we all have difficulties, we all make mistakes. So, there's nothing to be ashamed of making mistakes. Therefore, what you should do when someone complains you, when someone blames you, or when someone accuses you for a mistake that has done by you, just admit it. Be humble, right? When you admit your fault, you win the trust of people. But if you did not admit your fault, what will happen? They will never trust you, right? So what you have to do, if you have done a mistake, just admit it. Say the truth. I have done it and I'm not going to do it again. I will correct my mistakes. That is what you have to do. So the first thing that you should have in your heart when you face complaints, when you face criticisms, what you have to do, be truthful. And also, if someone complains you for a mistake that you haven't done, let's say you didn't do anything of that mistake, you know nothing about that, but still people will complain you because of the misunderstandings. So in that case, how you should face that? In that case also, you should be truthful. Directly, you can say, I haven't done this mistake. But if they are not going to believe it, or if they are not going to understand it, you don't want to prove them I am correct again and again. Just stay calm and just smile, right? And stay cool. That is what you have to do. So in that case also, you have to be truthful. Number two, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to practice the love and the kindness and non-hatredness in your mind. You don't want to hate people when they are criticizing you, because sometimes they don't know about our story. Sometimes they don't know about our mind, what are the difficulties of us. Still they complain us. So when someone complains you for a mistake that has done by yourself, that means if you own that mistake, then you don't want to be angry with them, because you have done the mistake. So what you have to do, just simply admit it. When you admit the fault, you are not providing any fuel to his anger, to other people's anger, right? For an example, if a person, right, if the boss of your company came to you, and if he started complaining, if you admit your fault, then it's okay, right? He will blame for some time, but he no longer can take it for a long time. Just have the non-hatredness inside your heart. just smile to them. And also, if they accuse you for a false accusation, don't hate them back. You need to forgive them because you haven't done any mistake. The mistake has happened by them, right? So if some people, if anyone has done a mistake to you, then what you have to do? You need to have that ability to forgive them. Remember, when you forgive people, you become free, right? Your heart becomes free. So, you need to forgive people to free your heart because of your peacefulness, not because that others deserve your forgiveness. So what you have to do, forgive people. They don't know our story. They don't know anything about us. So that is how you face the criticism. So practice the truthfulness and also non-hatredness or the loving kindness when you face the criticisms and bullies in this world. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome you all wonderful people and my dear children. This is the third video of Essence of Buddhism video series. So today we are going to learn the 185th verse of Dhammapada, where Buddha describes us the essence of Buddhism or what Buddha really taught to this world. So first of all, as usual, same as in the other videos, I will chant the words for you and then we are going to learn the meaning. So the verse goes like this. Anupavado anupaghato patimukhecha sangaro matanyuta cha bhattasmin pantang cha sayanasanam adhichitte cha ayogo etang buddhana sasanam. So let's learn the meaning of it. In this verse, Buddha says, Anupavado anupaghato. Do not disparage others or do not look down on others and do not destroy others' lives. This is the Buddha's teaching or Buddha's advice to this world. Now in this line, Buddha says, do not look down on others. Do not compare yourself with others and do not think of yourself like I am a high-valued person, I am better than them. Right? Simply, Buddha says, in another word, Buddha says, do not be big-headed. And also, Buddha says, do not destroy the lives of beings. This is the first precept that we observe as Buddhists all around the world. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadam samadhyaya. That means we refrain from taking others' lives, taking lives of the beings. So the Buddha's advice to this world or Buddha's teaching to this world is to refrain from being swollen-headed and to refrain from killing animals. And in the next line, Buddha says, Pati mokhe cha sangaro. Be disciplined according to the monastic code of conduct or monastic rules. Now this line is referred to the monks actually, right? When it comes to the monkhood, we have the precepts. We have many precepts to protect. They are like code of conduct, right? It purifies our bodily conduct and the verbal conduct. So Buddha advises us to be disciplined. Simply, you can relate it to your life to be disciplined from your body and from your words, right? So the discipline is a bigger part in Buddhism, to be disciplined, to have a good moral conduct. So Buddha said, be disciplined according to the monastic code. And then Buddha said, Mattanyuta cha bhattasmi. Now this is very important for every one of us. right? What is that? Be moderate in eating. The moderation of food. What do you mean by moderation of food? Simply, it means know the purpose of eating. Sometimes we forget why we are eating. Sometimes we overeat. We eat too much, and that gives this physical uncomfortableness. Now Buddha said, eat according to your health, right? Eat the food to have a better health and to sustain this life, not to enjoy by eating too much and be living an unhealthy life. So in Buddhism, healthiness or this health is a bigger part. Buddha said, Arogya Paramalabha. Health is the greatest gift that you can receive in this world. So Buddha says, be moderate in eating. Right? Do not overeat. Because when we overeat, our craving and our lust take over our mind. That is why we overeat. So be moderate in eating and know the purpose of the food. Then Buddha said, Pantancha Sayanasana. Now this is also referred to the monks, right? Buddha advised us to live in the forest where you are secluded from the people. You are away from this distraction. Now you may not have this chance to live in a forest or live in a quiet and calm and peaceful place. Maybe you are living in a town in the middle of distraction. So how could you find the peacefulness according to Buddha's teachings? Now remember, the distraction is not really the distraction. You can live peacefully and you can live calmly in the middle of the distractions too, if you find the silence in between these distractions. Because now, for an example, if we try to meditate, right? Suppose a distractive sound came up. Maybe someone is banging to a nail. Maybe someone is making some noises. What is our reaction? What will be our reaction? Our reaction will be the anger, right? Our mind just clashes with that sound. So that will be a distraction. If you know how to meditate correctly, right? If you know how to meditate correctly, you can live with that distraction. You can live with that sound. You can be friendly with that sound. When you become friendly with the noises and the distractions, they will not bother you, right? So that is the thing. You can find the peacefulness and the silence even in the middle of the distractions. So don't worry about the place you are living. Try to be peaceful. Try to do a little bit of a meditation. Be by yourself. Right? Be secluded from the people for a little while, even for a day, for a little time in a day, and then you can find the peacefulness. So that is why Buddha said, so to dwell in the forest, for the monks actually, and then adhichitte ayogo. Now this is very important. Buddha said, be devoted to the meditation. Meditation must be a bigger part of your life. There are so many people, they are not meditating, right? But meditation must be a bigger part of our life. Because through that meditation, if we are meditating, you will start to feel the peacefulness, right? If you are doing it for a long time continuously, you will start to feel. The reason why many people doesn't find meditation is so enjoyable is because they give up in the first place. They expect too much from that life. They expect this calmness and peacefulness and stillness in the mind from the first session of the meditation or first day of the meditation. Trust me, that is not going to happen for many people. If there are lucky people out there, it will happen, but for many people it's not going to happen. So don't expect too much from your meditation. Just you have to hanging to the process, keep doing it for a long time, then you will feel the peacefulness. So these are the pieces of advice that was given by the Buddha to this world. This is what the Buddha taught to this world. If we practice this, regardless of any kind of religion, everyone can practice this, right? Everyone can master these skills, and when you practice the Buddha's teachings, surely you will find the happiness of your life. So practice the Buddha's teachings. Be mindful, be kind, and be wise, and then you can live a happy life in this world. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. If there is one thing in common in this world that all living beings search for, that is the happiness. We all like to be happy. We all seek happiness in this world. If I ask from you, would you like to be happy in your life? What will be your answer? You will say, of course, I want to be happy in my life. I want this peaceful state. I need to be in that. That is your answer. That is the answer of all living beings. Buddha says that all living beings likes to be happy and they seek the happiness. If you really think about our life, we are in a never-ending journey of pursuing happiness. Let me tell that again. We are in a never-ending journey of pursuing happiness. That means we are pursuing happiness, we are chasing and we are seeking for happiness, but yet we have not found it. So, what is the reason for this not finding happiness? Why we don't find happiness in our life? We are seeking it, we are finding for it, but we don't find it. What is the reason? Well, the Buddha teaches us that we are finding or we are seeking this happiness from a source that the happiness does not exist. Because we are seeking happiness from external world. We are seeking happiness from these materialistic things. Well, when you seek happiness from materialistic things or external world, you get pleasure, but that is not happiness. Pleasure is something temporary and it gives you this instant gratification. But in happiness, the happiness is long-lasting and it gives you this happiness or the contentment about yourself. So that is why Buddha teaches us that you're finding the happiness from a source where the happiness does not exist. So the more you find it, the more you become frustrated. So, will we ever be able to find happiness in our life? The Buddha answers this question. He says, yes, you can find happiness in your life. How to do that? If you look closely to the first and the second verses of Dhammapada, Buddha says, if one with an impure mind speaks or acts, the suffering will follow him like a cartwheel following the ox. If with an impure mind one speaks or acts, the suffering will follow him. And in the next verse, Buddha says, if with a pure mind one speaks or acts, the happiness will follow him like a shadow following a man. So that means the happiness and the sadness entirely depends on the purity and the impurity of our mind. When our mind is pure, we can find the happiness. So, how can we find, or how can we gain this purity in our mind in order to find the happiness? Well, Buddha teaches us there are a lot of things that you can do to make your mind pure. So today, I'm going to share with you a few things that can give you the happiness in your life, that you can find the happiness in your life. First thing, accepting the reality of life will give you the happiness. You know, life is full of ups and downs. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes we have bad days, sometimes we have beautiful memories, sometimes we also have miserable memories. So life is not something that is going equally every day. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. When you realize this reality, you can face these situations successfully, right? It is not always this bad experience makes us frustrated. It is our reaction towards this bad experience makes us frustrated. Whenever you get a bad experience or a bad day or a bad situation, tough situation, difficult situation, you have two choices. Either you can focus on the pain and feel miserable about that situation, or you can focus on the lesson that bad situation teaches us and learn from it and start growing your life. So, if you accept the reality of life, it is not temporary. Sometimes the people around us are not in our control. We cannot control their reactions. We cannot control their opinions. So when you realize these situations, you can face those situations successfully. That is one thing, accepting reality of the life. Number two, Buddha said, be generous. Practicing generosity is a major practice in Buddhism. Well, in Buddhism, the generosity is known as dana. In dana, Buddha says that you have to give without any expectations. We have to give and we have to dedicate towards others without expecting anything in return. That is one thing that we have to practice. Most of the time, we like to hold on to things or gather the things towards us. That is what people think. When you gather more, when you collect more things, you will get rich and you will gain happiness. But that does not give you the happiness. It will give you the pleasure, but it is temporary. So what we have to do, Buddha says, be generous, give, help others, dedicate a part of your life on behalf of others. When you do that, when you become more generous, let's say like this, you gave some foods to a poor person, let's say like that. When you see that person is having those foods and overcoming his hunger and making his life much better, you can be happy by seeing that. When you become happy like that, you feel happy about yourself, right? Nothing can give you that happiness. Like by eating a good food, by dressing a nice dress, you cannot gain that happiness. You don't feel happy about yourself, right? Let's say after hundred of years later, maybe 10 decades later, when you think about that incident, I gave this food to this poor person. When you remind that, you feel happy. Even then you feel happy. That means happiness is long-lasting. So Buddha says, be generous, help people, do something nice every day for a person. That is one thing we can do. And number 3, forgiving. Forgiving is one of the most important things that we can do to create happiness in our life. We have to forgive ourselves, also we have to forgive others too. Because forgiving, when you forgive, it doesn't mean
that you are saying okay to others' mistakes. It's okay. No, you're not saying like that. When you forgive, you make your heart free. So when you forgive, it's not for that person, it is for you. And also we have to forgive for ourselves. There are so many mistakes that we all have done in the past. If you hold on to past, and if you make this present moment miserable, that will not give you the happiness. So what do we have to do? Whatever the bad thing that we have done in the past, we have to have this ability to forgive ourselves and start all over again. We all have that ability, right? We all have that privilege to start our life again and make it a better one. Okay? So no one is perfect in this world. We all have done mistakes. One thing that we have to do is to forgive and start doing good things. So these are 5 things that we can do to create happiness in our life. And also, there is one happiness that is called the ultimate happiness in this world that the Buddha teaches us. That is called Nibbana or Nirvana. That is the enlightenment. When you realize about the reality of this life, and when you remove this desire or the craving that arises within your mind, then Buddha says that is the ultimate happiness. Simply, the Nibbana means Ragakkayo, Dosakkayo, Mohakkayo, Nibbana. That means removing of the desire, anger, and the delusion of the mind is called the enlightenment. So that is the highest level of happiness that we all can reach. So when you practice these practices, right, when you engage yourself in wholesome state, that will create you the happiness in the life. So practice these things and make your life a happier one. Namo Buddhaya.